Come on, Peter.
So many strange new faces here today. I know my mom would be very touched and probably a little suspicious. My mother was a very secretive and private woman.
It's Grandma?
There are horror films that rely on sudden shocks, loud sounds, and fleeting moments of fear. And then there are films that settle deep into your mind, lingering long after the screen fades to black, quietly reshaping how you think about grief, family, and the unknown. This film belongs firmly in the latter category, presenting a deeply unsettling experience that feels less like a traditional horror story and more like a slow, suffocating descent into emotional and psychological darkness. From the very beginning, it establishes a tone that is heavy, intimate, and profoundly uncomfortable, drawing the viewer into a world where tragedy is not just an event, but a presence that seeps into every corner of life. The story revolves around a family that is already fractured before the central events even begin to unfold. There is a sense that something is off long before anything overtly supernatural appears, and that is part of what makes the experience so compelling. The emotional tension is grounded in realism, in the kind of strained relationships and unspoken resentments that many people can recognize. But here, those tensions are amplified and placed under a microscope. The mother, who works as a miniature artist, creates detailed models of moments from her life, almost as if she is trying to gain control over experiences that feel overwhelming and chaotic. These tiny recreations become symbolic, suggesting a world where the characters themselves may not be as in control as they believe. As the narrative progresses, grief becomes the central force that drives everything forward. The loss that the family experiences is not treated as a simple plot device, but as a complex emotional state that affects each character differently. It manifests in silence, in anger, in confusion, and in moments of unbearable vulnerability. The film takes its time exploring these reactions, allowing scenes to breathe and emotions to build gradually, which creates an atmosphere that feels painfully authentic. This approach makes the eventual horror elements far more impactful because they are layered on top of something that already feels deeply real. The performances are crucial to the film's effectiveness, particularly the portrayal of the mother, whose emotional journey becomes increasingly intense and unpredictable. Her grief transforms into something volatile, something that oscillates between sorrow and rage, making her both sympathetic and terrifying at the same time. The father, in contrast, tries to maintain a sense of normalcy, acting as a stabilizing force within the household, but even he cannot escape the growing sense of dread that surrounds them. The children, each dealing with their own confusion and pain, add further complexity to the story, especially as their experiences begin to blur the line between reality and something far more sinister. One of the most striking aspects of the film is how it uses its visual language to reinforce its themes. The camera often frames scenes in a way that resembles the miniature models created by the mother, giving the impression that the characters are being observed, controlled, or even manipulated by an unseen force. This stylistic choice is subtle but effective, contributing to an underlying feeling that something is fundamentally wrong, even in moments that might otherwise seem ordinary. The use of lighting and sound design further enhances this effect, creating an atmosphere that feels oppressive and inescapable. As the story unfolds, the boundaries between psychological horror and supernatural horror begin to dissolve. What initially seems like a deeply personal exploration of grief gradually reveals itself to be part of something much larger and more disturbing. The film introduces elements that suggest the presence of forces beyond human understanding, but it does so in a way that never feels rushed or forced. Instead, these elements emerge organically from the narrative, intertwining with the characters' emotional struggles in a way that feels both inevitable and shocking. The pacing plays a crucial role in maintaining tension. Rather than relying on constant action or frequent scares, the film builds its horror through anticipation and unease. There are moments of stillness that feel almost unbearable, where nothing overtly frightening is happening, yet the atmosphere is so charged with tension that it becomes difficult to look away. This slow-burning approach allows the film to create a sense of dread that is far more lasting than any single moment of shock could achieve. Another key element is the way the film explores themes of inheritance and inevitability. There is a recurring suggestion that the characters are trapped in a cycle, bound by forces that they cannot fully understand or escape. This idea is reinforced through various narrative details, creating a sense that everything that is happening has been set in motion long before the story begins. It raises unsettling questions about free will and the extent to which individuals can truly shape their own destinies. The emotional core of the story remains its strongest aspect, even as the horror becomes more pronounced. The relationships between the characters continue to evolve, often in painful and destructive ways, reflecting the impact of their shared trauma. The film does not shy away from depicting the darker aspects of these relationships, including moments of blame, resentment, and emotional breakdown. These scenes are difficult to watch, not because they are graphically violent, but because they feel so raw and genuine.
As the narrative approaches its climax, the tension reaches a point where it becomes almost overwhelming. The gradual buildup of dread and uncertainty culminates in a series of revelations that reframe everything that has come before. The horror shifts from something that is implied to something that is undeniable, confronting the audience with a reality that is both shocking and deeply unsettling. Yet even in these moments, the film maintains its focus on character and emotion, ensuring that the impact is not just visceral, but also psychological. The ending is particularly notable for its refusal to provide comfort or closure in a traditional sense. Instead of resolving the tension in a way that feels reassuring, it leans fully into its darker themes, leaving the audience with a sense of unease that lingers long after the film has ended. This choice reinforces the idea that the story is not just about a series of events, but about a larger, more disturbing reality that extends beyond the boundaries of the narrative. What makes this film stand out within the horror genre is its commitment to atmosphere, character, and thematic depth. It does not rely on conventional formulas or predictable structures, instead choosing to tell a story that is as emotionally resonant as it is terrifying. The horror is not just something that happens to the characters, it is something that grows out of their experiences, their relationships, and their vulnerabilities. The film also invites multiple interpretations, encouraging viewers to engage with its themes on a deeper level. While it presents a clear narrative, there are elements that remain ambiguous, leaving room for discussion and analysis. This complexity adds to its lasting impact, as different viewers may take away different meanings based on their own perspectives and experiences. In many ways, the film can be seen as a meditation on the nature of trauma and the ways in which it can shape and distort reality. The supernatural elements, while central to the story, can also be interpreted as extensions of the characters' psychological states, blurring the line between what is real and what is perceived. This duality adds another layer of depth, making the film not just a horror experience, but a study of human emotion and perception. The use of symbolism is another aspect that contributes to the film's richness. Various objects, images, and motifs recur throughout the story, each carrying its own significance and adding to the overall sense of cohesion. These elements are never overly explained, allowing the audience to piece together their meanings and connections over time. This approach rewards careful attention and repeated viewings, as new details and interpretations can emerge with each revisit. Sound design plays a particularly important role in shaping the film's atmosphere. Subtle auditory cues, from faint background noises to more pronounced sounds, are used to create a sense of unease and anticipation. These elements often operate on a subconscious level, influencing the viewer's emotional response without drawing explicit attention to themselves. Combined with the visual style, they create an immersive experience that is both captivating and unsettling. The film's exploration of family dynamics is its emotional anchor and its source of horror. The relationships between the characters are complex and often strained, reflecting the impact of unresolved issues and hidden truths. As these dynamics evolve, they reveal deeper layers of conflict and vulnerability, making the characters feel fully realized and relatable, even in the midst of extraordinary circumstances. At its core, the story is about the consequences of actions, both past and present, and the ways in which they can reverberate across time. It suggests that certain forces, whether psychological or supernatural, cannot be easily contained or understood, and that attempts to do so may only lead to further complications. This idea is both intriguing and unsettling, adding to the film's overall sense of inevitability. The narrative structure is carefully crafted to maintain a balance between revelation and mystery. Information is revealed gradually, often in ways that raise new questions, even as they provide answers. This approach keeps the audience engaged, encouraging them to actively participate in piecing together the story. It also ensures that the film remains unpredictable, avoiding the pitfalls of more formulaic storytelling. Ultimately, the film stands as a powerful example of how horror can be used to explore deeper themes and emotions. It demonstrates that fear is not just about what is seen, but about what is felt, imagined, and understood on a more profound level. By grounding its horror in human experience, it creates a story that is both terrifying and deeply affecting. Even after it ends, the film leaves behind a sense of unease that is difficult to shake. Its images, themes, and emotions linger in the mind, prompting reflection and discussion. It challenges the viewer to confront uncomfortable ideas and to consider the ways in which fear and grief can intertwine, creating something that is both haunting and unforgettable. In the landscape of modern cinema, it represents a bold and uncompromising vision, one that prioritizes depth and authenticity over easy thrills. It is a film that demands attention and rewards it, offering an experience that is as intellectually engaging as it is emotionally intense. For those willing to immerse themselves in its world, it provides a journey that is both disturbing and profoundly memorable, a reminder that the most powerful horror often comes not from what is seen, but from what is felt and understood on a deeper level.